Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry. I hope you've been doing well. I hope you've had a great week. We are back to the normal state of affairs, I guess you would call it, because there's no rum being drank. I'm not surrounded by wonderful Latino people. But I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. It was so much fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again. This is home turf. This is the normal setting, the normal way that we do things. If you've never heard an episode before, or if last week was somehow your first episode of the podcast, this is pretty normal. That's as far as things go at the moment. Considering that I'm just doing things on my own for the time being. I'm rambling a little bit, but that's okay, because I'm just happy you're here, and I'm happy to be chugging along for yet another episode. 406 is where we are. We're going to be diving into the White Oak Rye from 2XO here in a bit, part of their Oak series. Before we get to that, though, we start every episode off with a segment known as Flying Blind, where I try something that I've never had before or something that I haven't had in a while and have kind of forgotten about. And I was kind of bouncing back and forth between a couple of things, and I dug into one of my many boxes of samples, and I just found a sample of Knob Creek Rye. I don't know why I have this. I don't even really know who this is from. It kind of looks like Swan's handwriting. It kind of looks like Tony's. It could be Chad Perkins' handwriting. So I'm just going to have a little bit of this to get my palate ready for some rye whiskey. And I don't have much else to say about it other than I haven't had Knob Creek Rye in a long time. And if I'm not mistaken, the Knob Creek Rye is also just a low rye in terms of its mash bill. And I know that Jim Beam is pretty secretive with their mash bills, but I kind of feel like it's out there somewhere. Oh, look at this. Now, whether or not this is true, we'll see. But according to Whiskey Rant from back in, Lord, this is a old-looking bottle, so could be 2017, 2018, around then. The mash bill is 55% rye, 35% corn, and 10% malt. Who's to say? And the final product is a blend of spirits matured in new charred oak barrels for 5 to 9 years. Again, I don't even know if that's entirely accurate, but it does feel somewhat accurate. I think now, and this is from Jim Beam's Knob Creek website, they've brought the age statement back up to 7 years old. So what I'm trying right now doesn't appear to have an age statement on it. If it does, it was not included on the sample bottle label that I was given. It's not showing up on the camera particularly well. But we're just going to get into it because why the heck not? Nose is a little light, which makes me kind of think that this might be in the actual 5 to 9 year range. Getting into it a bit more since I kind of cleared my nose out. Hints of like licorice, bits of like apricot. Lots of caramel for sure. All right, let's dive in. A very, very approachable rye. I mean, nothing that's going to blow you out of the water. The finish is more of where the rye starts to really show up. But overall, it's quite tame. It's quite tame. There is no way. What is Coltrane wine? Because apparently they are selling Knob Creek rye. Okay, that's a 375. Let me show you for the video viewers. They are selling Knob Creek rye in a 375 for $18.99. I thought that I was seeing a full 750 for $18.99, and I was about to lose my mind. But upon further inspection, it makes sense that this is the 375 bottle because the neck is insane in terms of sizing. I didn't really. It looks like it's about $30 to $35 for the most part. This is, I mean, honestly, a pretty good rye. It's not. Again, I'm not going crazy over it. I would like more of it to just be rye forward. But I think the intention here is just, introducing people to rye whiskey more than anything. But that being said, though, it's being a rye fan. It's hard not to want more of what makes rye. So anyway, nice way to warm up the rye palate, and I'm looking forward to trying out this White Oak Rye here in just a bit. But before we get there, I want to talk about what have I been drinking recently. And I haven't recorded an episode of the podcast since last month. Genuinely, I've not recorded since October 25th, which is when we did the rum episode with Chris, Danny, and Alberto. Which again, if you haven't listened to, please go check it out. But I haven't had any rum since then, but I do have this thing in the back of my head, knowing how inexpensive some of that rum is. I want to go and get some so I have it on hand because I really enjoyed it. So that's not necessarily something that I have been drinking. But on the that's kind of what I want to be drinking. I guess. But in terms of what I have been drinking, I wound up grabbing a bottle, which I opened for Patreon last week, of the new limited run of the age-stated Maker's Mark Cask Strength, which I keep going back to. And when I first opened it, I was not entirely enthused by it. But the more I go back to it, the more I absolutely adore. And I already love Maker's Cask Strength. I think it's the best of their core lineup. I think it's better than 46. I think it's better than 46 Cask Strength. I think it's even better than 101. And I think 101 is very close to very close to being the number one spot for Maker's Mark's core products, but I think that cask strength really is where it's at. And this, whether or not they're actually going to make the age stated product just a limited release, it's kind of hard to tell. And I keep going back to this, like, what was the point of this? Like, why did they make this a limited release? It's just a very like unclear messaging, I suppose. But I'm just happy that it exists at all. And I feel like I should maybe do a full review of it. I might do that next week because I need to talk about it more, at least in the context of the podcast. I think you should get a bottle. Like, in all honesty. It's not, this is, I'm not trying to like spoil whatever my review is going to be. And I'm not even saying that it's like a perfect bourbon. But if you like Maker's Mark, and especially if you like wheated bourbons, I think that it definitely delivers on the promise of what this is. I think it lives up to it. Maker's Mark is traditionally about like a 6 or 7 year old bourbon. They always say that it's blended to taste, but this kind of like shows that at 7 years old, they're doing something pretty right with their product, being a cask strength lover as well. I mean, it hits all the right notes for me, I gotta say. Doing a little weather check, I apologize. We're supposed to have some storms here in a little bit, and I'm trying to get as much of this recorded as I can because I'm a little concerned that we might have a power outage based on the forecast. So I want to. I'm just trying to not get through it, but at least just push into it. Trying to think what else. Finished up a 6-pack of Sam Adams Oktoberfest the other day. I had some weird like ups and downs with this 6-pack though, because like 1 or 2 of the bottles in it were completely flat, like no carbonation to it at all, and I don't know why. It was the most bizarre thing, and I just like I didn't even. It was like playing roulette with a 6-pack of beer, and it seemed like the first one was perfect, the second one was flat, and then once I got it kept changing, and by the time I got to the last one in the 6-pack, it was perfect again. No idea why. Like if there was any quality control or anything, or if it was just an off day of bottling for Sam Adams. Couldn't tell you. But I love Sam Adams Oktoberfest. I think it's just a very, very baseline Oktoberfest beer, and was the first Oktoberfest beer I ever had, and a pretty good one to go back to every now and then. But yeah, I think that's about it for what I've had of note recently. Some of those random rare characters, the single barrels that Old Shade has handed off to me. But otherwise, yeah. Oh, you know what else? It's kind of far away, so I can't grab it. But the last time that I saw Chad, he asked me if I wanted this bottle of Penelope Light whiskey. 12 years old, 120-ish proof. Is it 12 years old or 13 years old? I can't remember off the top of my head. I like it a lot. And I know light whiskey is not for everybody, but it's one of those that I have a soft spot for. And this one in particular is so unique. It's got such a weird, like, velvety profile to it that I just kind of like, every time I go to it, I'm like, it helps kind of reset my palate for bourbon, for rye. And it was just a nice little like present to have from Chad as well. But yeah, that's what I've been drinking recently. All right, folks, we're back to a review this week. I'm genuinely very excited for this. This is the very first rye that has ever been released by 2XO. I think it's interesting that it is under the Oak series, which is slightly in their more affordable line for 2XO. But it is the White Oak Rye. It is, of course, a double oaked whiskey at 92 proof. Not really clear on where the white oak is from, kind of assuming that it's American oak, I guess. But according to their website, White Oak Rye is the third release in the ongoing Oak series. Dixon uses an innovative double technique where he inserts chains of charred American white oak to straight rye whiskey barrels with a 95% rye mash bill. Dixon will match the profile of each batch for consistent taste and character, providing an everyday offering. White Oak Rye has notes of pine, mint, cedar with peppery spice finished with sweeter barrel notes. It is an elevated, perfectly balanced flavor profile. Perfect for sipping and cocktails. Now, this is roughly a $50 bottle, which is pretty much what I got it from at Liquor Barn. I think actually I might have gotten it for about $45. But I think the MSRP itself is $50 or suggested retail price, whatever you want to call it. Non-age stated, but I think that this is probably going to be like I don't know, maybe a 4 or 5 year old rye. I could text Dixon, ask him about it, but I don't know if I want to. You know what? I've done it with most every 2XO release. Let's just see. How old is the 2XO White Oak Rye? I can word that better. How old is the whiskey in the We'll see if he responds. I don't know. I think also, this is a side note. This has absolutely nothing to do with the what's in the bottle itself. Every single daggum one of these 2XO bottles, whether it's the Icon series, the Gem of Kentucky, or just the Oak series, these bottles are sexy, man. I just think they look so nice. And of course, it's got the green label for rye. This just looks good, man. It looks really nice. So, letting it open up just a little bit, but I'm going to give it a couple swirls, and then we're going to give it a nose. That is a 95.5 rye, if I have ever smelled one. I mean, straight off the bat, it's oaky. I mean, you can't deny that it's going to be oaky because of the process of the 2XO, the 2 times oak that they're going through. It's right in the friggin' name. What are you going to do? Peppermint, cedar. There is I cannot believe that I'm about to say this. Sorry for the bizarre notes. I know that we get into this from time to time, but apparently my palate's, or at least my nose, is functioning pretty well today. There is a very specific earthy note that I'm getting. It's in that umami realm, and it's leaning towards mushroom. And I really like it. I really, really like this nose, man. I hate to like lean into the hyper specific notes because people will always go, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't get that. You're crazy. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's just what I'm picking up. Like, if this is my what was Fred's note? Marzipan. If this is my marzipan, then so be it. But it kind of has this like cream of mushroom soup thing, and I'm here for it, dude. This is a fabulous nose. It's slightly floral too, which helps to kind of balance some of the darker notes that are present. But all that being said, cheers. Have some. Here. You thirsty? You want some? That was mostly for the video viewers. That really wasn't an audio listener joke, even though I do love you to death. But let's dive into this. I want some. This might be one of the best everyday drinker ryes that I have ever had. I'm just gonna straight up say it. It's pleasant. It's not overpowering, but it is still, it's so much more of a rye whiskey than the Knob Creek that I had earlier in the episode was. And I know that that's, just a pure distinction between a 95.5 and a 55% rye. Well, that's not even a 55% rye. That's a 30% rye or whatever it was. What did they say? Yeah, 35%. But the whole point is like this is it's so well balanced. Absolutely fools me that it's 92 proof for a couple of reasons. The first one being the mouthfeel. It's really, really oily. Something I was not expecting from a 92 proof rye whiskey. I think that the mash bill is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, as well as the double oak process as well. But that being said, though, it's in this spot. And a lot of what I do with the evaluations of whiskeys on this podcast is what is missing? Where do the puzzle pieces not fit? And to me, what I'm feeling about this is there's not a lot missing from this. Is it 100% perfect? I don't think so, but it's pretty darn close, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. For a rye whiskey that you can go into a liquor store, grab, and have on your shelf, on your bar cart, on your counter, any day of the week, mix into a cocktail, and just call it a day. This is spectacular. It seems like to me as well. And let me say this, okay? Two things. One, I'm not blowing smoke because Dixon is a friend. Has no bearing on this. This is genuinely a very good whiskey. Two, I bought this myself. He did not send this to me for review. This was out of pocket. All that being said, I mean, I'm stunned by the fact that this is still $50 and 92 proof. There are parts of it on the palate where it can lean a little bit thin. But there are bursts of flavor that I very much enjoy. And I think that like the upper part of the profile where it's very like citrusy and it's very oaky, that is going to be what allows for it to shine as a sipper and also allow for it to stand up in cocktails. It's a very diverse rye whiskey. And again, at 92 proof, like it just seems to sit right in its sweet spot. There's maybe at 95, maybe at 100, it would do even more. But it's extremely well balanced. Extremely well balanced. The finish is insane. I don't know a better way to put it other than this finish has gone on for what feels like decades. I mean, I've been, even from like the first sip, it lasted an immense amount of time. My mouth is still coated. I'm still picking up on like these candied fruit notes. There's a lot of like just sugars, but even beyond that, like toasted walnuts too. Palate's going crazy today. I'm in a different headspace. That umami, like that umami note is also still present on the palate. Not necessarily as much, but it's there for sure. Overall, this is fantastic. I'm gonna pour a little bit more. Gonna be honest with you guys. Let's talk about the review side of this, though, as far as the numeration goes. Nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5. Final score is out of 20. Nose. Nose did take a little bit of warming up to. I'm gonna kind of give that. I'm gonna chalk that up to it being more of like it being a fresh crack, but also like even going back to it a little bit, I was having a little bit of a hard time pulling out a couple of notes. That being said, though, once I did really dive into it, it is so unique and it is so packed with incredible flavor, or notes, whatever. 3.5 on the nose. Palate, things start to ramp up. It is a 4. I think it's so diverse. And even if you are just a bourbon drinker, you're going to find yourself potentially starting to cross over to the dark side. You know what would be interesting? This might be a good candidate for best way to drink. I might not do it on an episode of the podcast. I might do this for a live stream sometime, because that would be a good fit eventually. Because it seems like there are so many different ways that this could be slotted in, but it's it's so big and so bold at, again, 92 proof. But yeah, 4. Finish though. Finish is a 5. That finish has no business being as massive as it is. And going into the different realms of possibility that it does, either the journey into mystery, that is the finish here. Even going back to it and thinking about it more, it goes some savory places. Like I almost find myself thinking about like smoked pork, like pulled pork, smoked meats kind of thing. Wanting to pair it with that, and just absolutely adoring that finish and wanting to go back to it. I'm head over heels with it. And price at $50. Only thing I would like to see is a little bit more transparency on what the age is on here. Dixon keeps a lot of that close to the chest. It is what it is. Everything considered, I think this is a massive bang for the buck. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think that you've got to pick one of these up. This is an incredible value for everything that goes into it. Maybe even 4.5. Having issues with the fact that there is no age statement on this is such a like niche complaint that I feel like it's almost being unfair, especially considering the fact that it's $50 and how much I really just enjoyed the pour itself. I think I am going to bump it up to a 4.5 actually. So all of that being considered, that is a 17 out of 20. I wasn't honestly expecting to like this as much as I do. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Grab a bottle, man. Get yourself some. It's fantastic. Mix it up in a Manhattan, put it in an old fashioned, do something great with it. You're gonna thank yourself later. I think you're gonna have a fun time with it. How can we top that review? Oh, I know, by heading into the Barrel Ring segment of the podcast, which is a segment of the show that you can actually be a part of by calling in and leaving a voicemail or by texting and just leaving us a little message that we will read out here on the show. We'll listen to those voicemails as well. The number for that, though, is 859-428-8253. And I appreciate everybody who does leave text messages or voicemails for Barrel Rings. The first one comes from, and I don't cherry pick these. These are just literally the ones that come through on a weekly basis. Sometimes there are none. Other times there are a lot. We got 3 this week from different people. The first one comes from our buddy W. Leb up in West Lebanon. He said, Perry, after listening to you describe your love of video games, I wanted to share with you one of my hobbies. This, as you may or may not know, is a pachinko machine. And for the video watchers, you are seeing the pachinko machine on your screen at the moment while I'm reading this out. This is how people in Japan occupied their time prior to the joystick. I enjoy buying these relatively cheaply and restoring them. Great episode and interview last week. Have a great rest of your week. Also, I forgot to mention, thank you for doing the research on that comedy skit. I really enjoy the old school comedy sketches. Thanks again. This machine looks absolutely fantastic. I am a big fan too of modern pachinko machines. I think I have a I don't think I've ever talked about this on the show. Are they actually called? No, okay. So there is it's a separate thing actually. And I don't have the good fortune of having been able to go to Japan yet, but I have a collection of Dragon Ball gashapon figures or gacha machines that sit on my shelf over here. That they're all only about like 2 or 3 inches high, depending on the character. Straight from Japan. They're extremely high quality. I love them to death. It was a collection endeavor a couple years ago. I need to expand the collection a little bit as well. And I haven't done so in a while. But it was just a fun little thing that I did. But like the pachinko machines I've seen just in like video games in the past, and I love that WLab just, this is so cool. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. I adore this, man. I don't have anything else to say about that other than thanks for sending that. I mean, really, like, it's one of the coolest things I've gotten sent for a barrel ring. We got a voicemail next. This is from Mike Schneider.
Hey, Perry, it's Mike Schneider. I'm not in my car. I was just in my car. I'm sitting in front of a coffee shop, sipping some coffee, my morning coffee, and looking at cars, if that goes with the motif. Anywho, what I was going to ask you is, after your good interview with Corey Marks, I was wondering, he mentioned Jack Daniels, and I thought about music. Do you almost pair music with certain beverages or points in your life or events in your life with music? Let's say, mornings in the mountain, it's going to be lighter music with maybe sipping on coffee with maybe a little bourbon cream, or, rainy afternoon, glass of red wine with the fire going, or you're smoking cigars with friends, so you either got a good hefty stout or a good stronger bourbon. Is there something along that lines for you, maybe life event and beverage pairings? Anyhow, have a wonderful day and have a wonderful week. Glad everything's going great. Talk to you later. Bye.
I love this question because I go 2 distinct ways with pairings or with my drinks. Coffee black and whiskey neat, as they say. I mean, I drink cocktails too, of course, but I am man. It has been a long time since I have gotten the chance to go to the mountains, to go to like Gatlinburg, get up in the morning and drink coffee. But it is one of my favorite things in the world. I mean, it is not atypical for me to, I mean, in any social gathering to just drink bourbon. But in like a music setting, I'm pretty much drinking beer. Honestly, I'll go to some place like, and this is, the music venue in, Southern Ohio, Riverbend, where I go to most of like my bigger concerts. They'll have, Bud Light as their canned beer. Or even, earlier this year, I got to finally go see Tyler Childers, and he was at the stadium where the UK Wildcats play their football games. And I talked about this earlier in the podcast, not this episode, but earlier in the year too. But it was like $16 for a regular can of Bud Light and Mick Ultra, which was insane. But I think it's easier to, like, at concerts and things like that, just drink beer, because bourbon's gonna be more expensive if they serve bourbon at all. Now, if you go to some place like Riverbend, they do actually serve bourbon, and they serve bourbon slushies as well. And if you are smart about it, in the way that I have been in the past, you grab a bourbon slushie, which at Riverbend is made with Four Roses, and then you also grab an extra pour of Four Roses, and you get about a little bit of a Four Roses floater. It's a good time. But all that being said, though, it's also about the moment for me, like, just dependent upon what's around, and like whether or not I've brought anything to the gathering, I suppose. But it is not uncommon for me, because in most of the circles that I am in, I'm just like the bourbon guy, So I will have brought a couple bottles of bourbon, and they will get broken out one way or another. So anyway, I love this question. Also, a hefty stout with a cigar is really phenomenal. I really want to smoke a cigar now. I just don't have time to. Last barrel ring comes from Tony Bag of Donuts. I don't know why he says he's a first-time ringer, because he's done barrel rings before. Hello, Perry, longtime listener, first-time ringer. I'm leaving this barrel ring while listening to the pod and waiting for your Halloween live stream. To Jared, who left a ring while in his car on a Thursday with nothing to do, cough, cough, TIMBP Live is on Thursdays, sir. What the heck? Okay, love you, TIMBPers, and I hope you had all the candy and fun you desired. Did I do the spooky edit? Yes, I did, because I haven't done it once this year, and I finally had to throw it in someplace. That's barrel rings. Once again, if you want to submit one via voicemail or via text, 859-428-8253, and we will listen to it on air or read it out. depending on your preferred method of communication. And I appreciate y'all for submitting stuff. One way or another, it's up to you. The segment doesn't happen without you. I don't know what else to say, man. That's how it goes. Next segment of the show. I'm just kind of skipping over hyper hot takes because, things that I could rant about, I don't really care to talk about on the podcast these days. It's mostly just being a tired dad. You know what I mean? But I do care to talk about things that I've been watching, reading, listening to, enjoying, that you can also check out during the segment known as Tips and Bits. That segment happens every single week, except for last week when I didn't get into it with the Latinos because I didn't want to spring it on them last second. But Tips and Bits, I'm going to recommend something to you this week. I have been a supporter of and a viewer of a person that is known on the internet as Detune, Detune, or Jordan, as I also go by. But they have an incredible ghost hunting show on YouTube called Paranormal Detour that I have also been trying to catch up on over the past few weeks. And if you know me, I am a big fan of Watcher's Ghost Files, which is also a ghost hunting show. There is something about ghost hunting that scratches a particular itch in my brain, and I don't know what it is. I think that, like, I would love to do a bourbon and ghost hunting thing. I don't know how that would work. I don't know how I could organize that, but I would love to make that happen. And I would probably lose my mind a little bit, especially if we went to like Waverly in Louisville, which I think is the most appropriate spot for it. And whether or not you believe in the paranormal or the afterlife or whatever, like, it's just fun to engage in some of that. I don't even know what the right word for it is, but in some of that spectacle, I suppose. And Jordan does a great job with Paranormal Detour. It's all on his channel. Just search for Paranormal Detour or just Detune on YouTube. Go check it out. They stream on Twitch as well. Most days out of the week. Fantastic stuff. Mostly variety content. I enjoy watching what Jordan does. Honestly, while he's showing, old Goosebumps episodes or playing video games or stuff like that. I mean, there's so much stuff that Jordan does that you should also check out. And another person that I would like to get on the podcast. Sue me. I'm sorry. There's a lot of random people that I just want to have on the show for the sake of having on the show. And I think that Jordan would be a fun guest that we would be able to vibe with. I'm regularly in their community, in their chat on Twitch. So if you pop in there at any given time, I mean, mostly in the evenings, I'm there. So pop in, say hi, say hi to Jordan and me. Mostly Jordan. Support Jordan. And I might gift you a sub too while you're there, because I love doing that to people. But that's it for Tips and Bits this week, I think. Also, we made it out of the episode before any kind of storms hit. There was a little bit of a rain shower earlier on. That's your weather update for the episode. Somehow made it out before the rains hit. Otherwise, though, thank you so much, as always, for watching or listening to the podcast. I absolutely appreciate the heck out of it. I love you so much. If you want more of this and you want to support the show, please head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast to get bonus content every single week. There's a bonus episode that comes out on Mondays and the pregame chats that come out on Tuesdays, as well as early access to the podcast itself on Tuesdays after the pregame chats come out. But the cool thing about the early access is there is an unedited, uncut version of the podcast with bonus content that is only available to Patreon subscribers at the $5 and up tier over at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. That being said, though, if you want to subscribe and get access to our Discord server, you can start subscribing to the show at $1 a month. There are other benefits that you can get beyond the $5 tier. You can get more information about that over at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. If you want to follow the show on all social media, you can do so by heading to your social media platform of choice and searching for My Bourbon Pod. I'm sure there's a few that we're not on, but primarily, the big ones, My Bourbon Pod. If you want to follow me personally, I am usually pritter1792. If you want to send questions or comments to an email account, I said that very oddly, but, it's thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. You may be asking yourself, why is it thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com? The reason for that is because when I first endeavored to get into the bourbon space back in 2017, I started an apparel and merchandise shop. And that is still actively going, but it is now primarily for the show itself, also with some fun little designs. That is over at bourbonshop.threadless.com. You can find shirts, you can find hats, you can find stickers, you can find skateboards, you can find beach towels, you can find shower curtains, you can find, I said stickers already, you can find notebooks, you can find hoodies, tank tops, all sorts of stuff. Anything you could think of. Not anything, but lots of stuff. You can also, as I said earlier, leave a barrel ring for 859-428-8253. Get your voice heard on the podcast itself. That segment does not exist without you participating in it. If you have samples or bottles or mail that you want to send in to the podcast that I can open up, read, try on the show, we have a P.O. Box. It's P.O. Box 22609, Lexington, Kentucky, 40522. Send it. I'd love to check it out live on air for you, dear listener. And then last but not least, leave us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast app of choice, and I'll check it out. A couple weeks ago, I did a little deep dive trying to find new ratings and reviews, and I didn't find any. And I also am still waiting for the people who left ratings and reviews on the Apple Podcast app to reach out to me with their mailing information so I can send them some samples. And they haven't done so yet. So I don't know. It's bizarre. Anyway. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. As always, the show is my baby, and you guys make it possible. As always. Next week, I think the Maker's Mark Cast Strength Age-Stated review. And we'll compare it to a regular Maker's Mark Cast Strength, because we probably should, one way or another. Thank you so much for listening. for watching, for supporting the show. See you next time. Until then, though, I am Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast.